All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Crossing Swords. As always, I'm Andrew.
And you're looking fine, by the way.
I feel fine.
You've got like the beard is a nice trimmed level. You've got the hair is looking good.
I just put a comb for I've done a tiny bit of self-care today.
It looks like you've put a comb for it.
And also,
it's good.
You can take compliments one way or another, can't you? So, like, if I was feeling sensitive,
you look shit the rest of the time.
Yeah, that could be my approach to it.
But I like the shirt as well. I said that when I came in. I
Thank
like
you.
the shirt. It suits you.
Thank you. What you should do is Foo Fighters. I'm a massive
Foo Fighters.
Foo Fighters.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm a massive fan. Do you know what I said? I don't know if I didn't say to you, but last week, I just got Monkey Wrench in my head. It's it's probably, if not one of possibly my favourite Foo Fighters song.
That's fair, it's up there.
And I just remember as I was walking along listening to it, I was like, why have I never bothered to learn this riff? And then it occurred to me, I was like, oh, it might have been that I tried to learn it really early on and I wasn't good enough. So I went back and I relearnt it and I learnt the whole thing, like nice. the rhythmic part of the guitar and then obviously that riff. And you know what's really good about it is I think whilst it is testing, in theory, it's easy to teach to someone because it's just one string.
Okay.
One finger, one string.
I'll be honest with you, the mechanics of how a guitar works, I get the idea of you have to hold down a string and strum, but that's it. I don't know. Yeah, I know nothing.
You know nothing.
Jon Snow.
But it's I genuinely love it, and you know, it's that thing as well. I think the other thing that probably put me off if I tried to learn it when I was younger is so many good riffs, I guess, that I listen to, and Foo Fighters do a lot of it are in like a drop D tuning. Okay. So it means basically the standard tuning of a guitar is E, A, D, G, B, E.
Okay.
But it means that low string, instead of being an E, is a D, and you drop it down to a D, and it just means that it's a little bit easier to play and to include it in riffs and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's but that probably put
me off. To be fair,
off.
Having listened to Dave Grohl before, he's quite open about the fact that when he writes music or writes a song,
he doesn't know what's
he makes it as simple as possible because he can't read music for a start. But like I heard him talk about Smells Like Teen Spirit and the drum track on that, and he was like, if you actually listen to it, it's just a jazz beat that I decided to use because it was simple and easy, and it just worked. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me to hear that their songs aren't actually that difficult to learn.
But I really, I really, really love that riff and the energy in the song. I just absolutely adore.
Yeah, I feel like they've lost that a little bit, to be honest with you. That actual sort of like rockness.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Don't get me wrong. You know, these are all blokes in their 50s, 60s now. Well, 50s.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to rock as hard.
How long to the Foo Fighters country album?
Oh my God. I think that would be a good album.
It would be.
Everyone's going country though. Why is everyone going country?
Because it's the fastest growing music music industry. Well, I think it's one of the most professional parts. Having watched a lot about it, it's highly manufactured, and everything's geared about the right song for the right artist. There's a lot of writers in the country industry that will tailor the music for who they're writing it for, or they'll write the song and then the music company will go, all right, well, we think that works for this person. But
what do you think is suddenly so appealing about it? Because it was a niche. I mean, it was huge in its own corners of the world.
Country music is stories, isn't it? Like, it's normally there's a narrative, and then you can get really catchy country music. You can get rock country music.
Because when we were growing
everything.
Up, country music was like, you know, depending on who sung it. If it was a man, it was like, you know, I got my truck and I got my girl.
I drunk a beer and I
drunk a beer and I'm just gonna have a really nice time with the boys and have a good time. And if it's a girl, it's like I'm gonna kill that bastard. He cheated on me and I'm gonna shoot him, and then I'm gonna turn myself into the sheriff and I deserve everything I get because that bastard had it coming. And those were the rules in country music when we were growing up.
Well, look, they were simple people back then. The world's developed.
Do you know what I didn't realise was that in the Protestant community in Northern Ireland, big country fans.
That took a fucking turn, by the way.
Big country fans.
Yeah, I can believe it.
Like there was, when I went to the party earlier in the year, so much country getting played and people just vibing with it.
I like some country.
I know. I briefly played music with a guy who was like really into country, and I started to like get into it. And it's one of those genres where when I listen to it, I enjoy it. But I would never seek it out to listen to it.
Yeah, it's only if I really like a country song that I hear. Like I got into Zac Brown Band. I like a bit of Luke Combs. But he's quite like, he has a song called "I Love Beer" or something like that, which is about how beer will never let you down.
I'm not lying here. I'm not lying. That sounds very Gen Z-ish. I'm like such a dramatic thing. No playing, no cap. But that is essentially what I said about men and women writing country songs. That is, it's a bloke. I love beer.
Well, look, there's tropes, isn't there? And you have to sometimes stick to these things.
100%. They're stereotypes for a reason.
I think probably also country was also heavily rooted in religion, wasn't it? So I wonder whether
the crossover,
if it's distanced itself. I mean, I'm sure there's probably a very large part of it that's religious, but it's probably widened enough now that it's got mass appeal, because there's like rap country music, there's pop country, rock country. There's like a bit.
Well, I mean, Little Nas X,
who
won a country award, didn't he, for Old Town Road?
Yeah, I love that song.
And it was a bit controversial at the time. Well, because there was a lot of people being like, it's rap, it's not country.
Oh, I see.
This is that thing again. We've spoken about it like between us as friends before. It's like
we're friends.
With art. I'm just keeping up the pretense.
No, fair enough.
I'm just go with it here.
We're doing it for the kids.
When we speak, look. It is important for the kids.
Yeah,
it's very important. Some say we shouldn't have adopted them, but
you could call it adoption. That's one way to phrase it.
We ain't getting pregnant the way we do it.
We did it how Michael McIntyre likes to do it.
How does Michael McIntyre do it?
You go and sit on a bench at a local park.
Oh yeah.
Which one's yours? I haven't decided yet.
But with art, like, it doesn't have to fit into one genre. You can cross over genres quite easily. Yeah. And I think you stifle yourself if you try and fit into a genre. Like, if you're a musician, for me, you just write songs that you enjoy.
Yeah.
And that sound good to you. You don't have to be like, oh, but we're a rock band. It needs to be rock, or we're a, Metallica famously had huge success by branching out of metal.
And bringing in orchestra
and doing orchestral ballads.
Nothing Else Matters live with the orchestra is one of my favourite songs. It's incredible.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. And I like a good mashup as well. Like I heard, what's the one with Ed Sheeran?
Shape of You.
That one. With the lyrics to A System of a Down. No, Disturbed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the one that goes, oh,
Yeah. I can imagine that.
And it was actually really good. So yeah,
it's proving that theory of the 4 chord songs, right? It's the 4 chord. If they all follow the same chord progression, but it's just different.
Yeah, there's nothing
rhythms, speeds, distortions, tones.
Yeah, that's
not what I thought we were going to start talking about at all.
Neither, but I'm here for it. No, I mean, look, I've always been into all sorts of music. I like Roy Orbison. I like Frank Sinatra. I like Slipknot. I like Foo Fighters. Yeah, I like a bit of pop music. Not really modern pop though, if I'm being honest. Not really.
And see, I really like at the moment.
I like a couple of Taylor Swift songs.
I don't mind Taylor Swift.
Early days, but
Taylor Swift, I think, very similar to Ed Sheeran for me, where like, whilst the slow ballads are the more popular ones amongst the core fans because it speaks to them, that's what they're into, that's what they're going through. I prefer the more upbeat, like with Ed Sheeran, I prefer the rap stuff.
See, I like both.
I like both. Don't get me wrong, but if my go-to track is gonna be like "You Need Me, I Don't Need You" from Ed Sheeran or something like that, and for Taylor Swift, it's I know I'm gonna say this because it's picking, but it's like 22 or "Shake It Off." I know they're hugely successful songs, but it's those over the more ballady ones that the fans really like dig into. But I also really like at the moment, I've said it before, 2 artists that I'm really into at the moment are Sabrina Carpenter and probably
I've not really listened to her music,
probably even a little bit more so Chapel Roan.
I don't know who that is.
Like Pink Pony Club is a banger.
I'll take your word for it.
It is a banger.
Like you know how current I am with music. Like,
good luck, babe.
About a year ago, I said to you, I discovered the Ed Sheeran Stormzy "Shape of You." And that's probably my favourite Ed Sheeran song now, to be fair. But I think I discovered that 5 years after it had taken place.
Yeah, which is normally me with pop culture, to be fair. I'm usually
music is just a weird blind spot I have, I think. But I don't have enough interest in what's going on at the moment.
It is for a lot of
what I've already got.
Like for most people, those formative years, the artists you listen to then, you're sort of not really that bothered about taking in new music after a certain
I've
point.
got AC/DC, I've got Foo Fighters, I've got Shine, I've got what I need. I've got Led Zeppelin. Do you know what I mean?
Like, there are dads up and down the country right now who have not listened to a song since 1986.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They just refuse. They're like, no, that was the, that
See,
was
I'm
the
not
last
that
year.
dogmatic.
That
if I hear a new song that I like the sound of,
yeah,
I dig it. Like, I liked Benson Boone's song.
Yeah.
The one where he did the front flip off the piano.
Beautiful Things.
That's the one.
Beautiful Things I've done, whatever it's called. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's really good.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, that's it. That's where we're at. Pop music.
But yeah, I like artists like Ed Sheeran who will just go and perform with anyone as well. Like, I like it when artists just turn up at each other's shows and yeah, like there's a performance of Pink with the Foo Fighters and they sang The Pretender together. Now, I would argue her voice didn't quite, but it was still great seeing Pink perform with them and give it a go. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm all for it. It's like when they do concerts, either in, they do memorial concerts or stuff like that, and you just get artists coming from all walks of all different genres singing the songs of this one particular artist, and
with their spin on it.
Yeah, with that, exactly.
Yeah, that's why I like stuff like the Live Lounge as well.
I like the Live Lounge. It's a really good concept from the BBC. It's like, get an artist to do a couple of songs and then do a cover.
Yeah.
That's it, live.
It changed my opinion of Harry Styles, to be fair, because I just assumed he was just some poppy guy that, wasn't very good. He was just part of a boy band. And then you see him in Live Lounge sing like The Chain and things like that. And you're like, oh no, actually, he's pretty good.
Yeah. I don't mind Harry Styles, to be honest.
Yeah. And another modern song, Watermelon Sugar.
Well, I was thinking Watermelon Sugar is probably...
I love that song.
And the... Da, 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 da.
No, I don't know that one.
It's just us in this world. It's not the same as it was. Or As It Was, I think it's called.
I don't think I know that one.
That one's a good one.
But yeah, I don't really listen to radio. Not musical radio.
No, see,
anyway.
I do.
So yeah. And like any time I do put on like a rock station like XFM, like the songs tend to be quite shit. Like it's rare you catch a song you really like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I had one. Do you know what, the last two actually, I've just sat and stayed in the car listening to it because it's come on and I'm like, no,
The amount of times you've turned up here and you've gone, yeah, sorry, mate, I just sat and listened to a song.
Well, the last two were Rebel Rebel by Bowie, which is probably my favourite. I just love that riff. And
see, it's Man Who Sold the World for me if it's David Bowie.
And Heroes by Bowie.
Oh, that's enough. Yeah, it's between them two for me, Man Who Sold the World or Heroes.
And Heroes was about halfway through when I pulled up the other day. Not here, but like back home, and I was just like, nah, I'm finishing it. This is banging.
See, I would just put it on my headphones.
No, I'm not getting my phone up. I'm not playing it. It's playing through the car. I'm like,
yeah, but you just sat there.
It's a load of arsing around. Yeah, but I'm vibing. I'm sat there and I'm vibing, singing along.
What's vibing? You just sat there, just eyes closed, eyes open.
Eyes open.
Yeah. Hands on the wheel.
No. I'm drums. I'm guitars. I'm bass.
If someone walks past, do you make any eye contact?
Intense. Nothing but intense.
Hands are pressed against the window. Licking the window?
Only when someone walks past. Only.
Well, yeah, you're not just going to do it for no reason.
That's just weird.
Yeah. Fair enough. That concludes the
preamble.
The musical portion, apparently.
That concludes the musical portion of our show.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about today, mate?
Well, I think country music is big. No, I don't. There's first of all, I think we should. Yeah, I've heard. I think we need to do a couple of these bad boys, a couple of rippers.
Yes.
So first of all, I'm going to get the really serious one out of the way. They're all serious. They're rippers. I'm going to get the really serious one out of the way.
Deadly serious.
So,
go on. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti.
That is for the 3,000 plus people who have died as a result of the earthquakes in Myanmar.
Oh shit, are real rippers.
Myanmar is a place
I wasn't expecting that.
It was struggling enough because for the last 4 years there's been like a civil war going on. There was like a military coup a few years ago, and the country's been struggling a bit since then.
Okay.
And so this country that's already torn in half.
It's just been decimated.
It's just been decimated. At least 3,000 people have died. That number is unfortunately only going up.
Yeah.
And
we just cut foreign aid.
And we just cut foreign aid. And Trump's just whacked
tariffs
on them.
Yeah. But yeah, rippers to the people of Myanmar.
Yeah, so very serious rippers to the people.
I'm going to sound really horrible here. What country?
Myanmar.
Oh, it is a whole country.
It is Myanmar.
Wait, I'm assuming it's in the Asia
in the Southeast Asian region, yeah. So yeah, very, very serious rippers there. And as with all things, yeah, like you said, you make a very poignant point. Unfortunately, we've also just cut foreign aid.
Yeah.
And during these really trying times, and I can't say the
rich people
trying times without thinking of eggs. The rich people are struggling.
Yeah. They're only making 10% a year on their wealth.
There's very few. Those billionaires that were chasing down the trillions, that's getting tougher and tougher.
Yeah,
that's getting tougher
and
tougher.
We're really limiting their ability. To thrive.
100%. We're keeping them in the hundreds of billions, tens of billions. It's
really selfish of us.
What are they going to do? So unfortunately, it's not looking good for those people and those families right now. And
Godspeed to them.
We need to do another one. Which I think you're probably more aware of for Mr. Val Kilmer.
Yes.
Batman.
Yes.
My favourite Val Kilmer role, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Never seen it.
Watch it.
Is that the one with
Robert Downey Jr.? It's so good. Like, both of them are incredible. Their on-screen chemistry is great. It's sort of a bit like, have you ever seen The Other Guys?
Yes.
It's sort of got those kind of vibes where it's just... So there's like...
I have to say, Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg in that movie are electric together, aren't they?
Sorry, not The Other Guys. What's it called? The one with Russell Crowe and Ryan...
Oh, The Nice Guys.
Nice Guys, again, that's it.
Great.
Yeah, it's kind of got those vibes.
Russell Crowe is like, honestly, I know I'm about to say he's a slept-on actor, but I don't think he gets the...
You've got Val Kilmer is this like hardened PI almost.
Okay.
You know, he's in the business. He's the Russell Crowe. And then you've got Robert Downey Jr., who's like sort of almost stumbled into it.
Yeah.
And they're going together. There's a fantastic scene where they're being tortured. And one of them's like, I'm just going to electrocute Robert Downey Jr.'s balls. And Val Kilmer's like, yeah, go ahead. Like, I don't even like the guy. Honestly, just do it. He's like, please just do it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Obviously, Top Gun probably his biggest role.
Yeah.
I didn't realise as well that have you seen Top Gun, the new one? So he appears in that, but because he was diagnosed some years ago with throat cancer,
and which is why he stopped acting,
and he had the tracheotomy, so his voice was affected. So in the film, his voice is really affected. He doesn't say many words, and it's like really.
Oh, was he in the new Top Gun?
Yeah, so he's in the film. He's been promoted to like Grand Admiral or whatever, so proper the highest of high offices. But I didn't realise that they actually used like old footage and stuff to piece together the thing, so he didn't actually.
Oh, so he wasn't actually in it.
He was in it, but he didn't speak in it.
They used his old voice.
Yeah, so to piece together the dialogue.
That's clever. Must have been hard for him though.
Yeah, but it must have also been nice, like a swan song, because it's that thing in it. You don't get control over your last job.
I don't remember how many Batman movies did he do?
One.
I don't remember it. Which one was it?
He did the follow-up, so he did...
was he post or pre-Clooney?
Returns. So he's pre-Clooney. So
After
it went
Keaton?
Michael Keaton did the first one.
Did he just do one?
He just did one. So when they came to do the second one, Batman Returns, they got Kilmer in.
And what happens in that one?
That's the one with the Danny DeVito's Penguin, I'm pretty sure.
What, and Frostman, Arnie?
No, I think that's Clooney and...
Is it?
Let's have a little look. Batman.
Because I don't remember those movies that much, to be honest with you. Returns. I remember like Uma Thurman.
Oh no, sorry, Michael Keaton was in Batman Returns.
So he did two.
Oh, so he was in the one with Jim Carrey and
the Riddler.
Two-Face, yeah.
Yeah, see, I don't remember ever
Batman
really...
Forever, that's what it's called.
Okay, yeah. I don't really remember liking those Batman films.
They got a little bit silly and, plagued by all sorts of shit, really, but...
Yeah, like, can you imagine with those sort of casts now, how differently they'd be made? Do you know what I mean? I reckon they'd be a lot better now.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Because they'd make it less cartoony. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know though, because they were, even though Tim Burton didn't direct that one,
yeah, maybe
he
not
was still
have
heavily
Tim
involved. So
Burton
Tim Burton is always.
I think Tim Burton's probably the problem here. His style of movies is a very acquired taste.
He's got a visual.
Like, I think you tend to find it's a bit like Marmite. Either you love the sort of stuff he does, or you don't. And I think
it's very cartoony.
There's not really anything he's ever made that I'm a particular fan of, to be honest.
I'd sort of go with that, to be honest. I
like,
really like Batman.
Wonka was shite. Leanne loves Nightmare Before Christmas. I could take it or leave it.
Yeah, and I feel the same about like Edward Scissorhands. I'm like, it's all right, but
shit. Like what? It was just about Johnny Depp wanking around with scissors for his hand. Some woman trying to touch him up and him.
I just want to be very, very clear here. If you do have scissors fans, please don't wank.
You probably shouldn't. I mean, you just have to. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, but you'd have to like turn it so non-sharp.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. You'd have to like
whatever side isn't bladed. You're
just sort of.
That's just being the clip.
Please, as well.
No context. But should we do it in a countdown in 3, 2, 1? Just have that in the clip for no reason.
And for context, please do not decide that this requires scientific experimentation. Go and grab a couple knives out the drawer and see if you can turn them sideways. Also, you'd have to do it that way, I suppose, because you'd want the blades facing upwards.
Let me just put in my notes not to do that.
Because when you think about it, if you're doing that and the blades are down, as you go back towards your own body, that's a bit dangerous. Especially if you go a bit. You'd have to turn them up. Yeah, you'd have to turn them so they're upwards.
Just get the blunt side.
Then blunt side down.
Yeah.
I've given this more thought than I ever thought I would.
If you were in the unfortunate predicament of being a man with scissors for hands, you'd have to figure this out. Yeah. Or some implementation go on top of your hands. And
like, we can't expect this boy... to never touched himself. That's just unrealistic.
Did you look at him? Of course he's touched himself.
100%. Creepy as fuck. That man's masturbated. Yeah. It's unrealistic.
So yeah, I think the problem was Tim Burton.
And I think it's a crying shame that
if you gave Christopher Nolan the level of talent that Tim Burton had access to and tell him to make some more Batman
Can I make
films.
a prediction, by the way, for Christopher Nolan's Odyssey?
Come on.
Runtime, over 3.5 hours.
Yeah. I don't really know the story of the Odyssey. I've read it. Well trodden.
I've read it.
But the fact Christopher Nolan's doing it, I'm open-minded.
It'll be interesting. Mark Wahlberg playing Odysseus.
Is he actually?
Yeah, and I think Tom Holland's playing his son.
I thought Tom Holland was playing.
No, Mark Wahlberg playing. Not Mark Wahlberg. Matt Damon.
Oh, is that more? That I'm more on board
Damon.
with. Anything Matt Damon's involved with, I'm normally on board with.
Playing Odysseus.
Okay.
It's an interesting story. It'd be interesting to see how true they keep it, because there's a lot of
it's
like
Greek mythology, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of mythology. So there's like
a bit of.
There's one where.
Is it the Golden Fleece story?
No,
right.
So basically, after the Trojan War,
yeah,
he's returning home. He's pissed off the gods because
easily done. Do you know what I mean? Zeus was all of them were quite fragile.
Hera was not very happy with Zeus.
Well, he was always banging birds,
and that's exactly why. So she helped Odysseus, and he was like, "You can't fucking do that, you bitch," or whatever.
Yeah.
So then, Odysseus is now like, "We're gonna fuck with this guy."
So we're gonna send monsters and shit.
So it's his journey home, and he keeps getting knocked off course, crashing into this island, makes it to that island, and it's just, and like, there's one where he like makes it to an island, and there's like these Cyclops creatures which are like basically giants. They're like fucking 50 foot tall. There's another one where there's like some sort of demi-goddess who wants to try and trap. So there's a lot going on. Like, it'd be interesting to see how, because Christopher Nolan strikes me as someone who likes to ground his films in realism. Yeah. When I think about even fantastic stuff like The Prestige, there's a certain
what a movie.
There's a certain realism to the magic that's being done. He likes to pull the door back and go.
Well, yeah, because you find out what's doing it.
Even the craziness of the Nikola Tesla machine.
Yeah,
there's still a certain like.
Mate, one day we need to do some deep dives on Nikola Tesla.
Interstellar,
and the conspiracies around that.
I'm up for that.
That is a rich subject matter that I find fascinating.
So it's like, how do you... And Interstellar as well, there's a lot of
one of my
sci-fi stuff, but it's all very grounded and explained.
Yeah, totally.
So it did strike me as... It shocked me a little to hear that he was doing a film around mythology.
Interesting to see how he handles it.
Yeah. We're talking about Tim Burton has style. Chris Nolan has a style.
Definitely.
And Chris Nolan's style as well is, And I've always said it's probably my criticism of Chris Nolan.
It can also be weird. And
he likes to be this. It feels like he likes to be the smartest man in the room.
Yeah.
And it feels like with his films, he's almost like,
to be
I
fair,
got you, didn't
there's
I?
not many of his
you.
movies where people don't still to this day debate what the meaning of that movie. Like there's people still arguing about the ending of Interstellar.
Yeah.
There was a new post recently that said they think the ending, spoiler alert, where he's talking to his elderly daughter having been away for years, and she passes away, that never actually happens. He's dead, because it's sort of hinted at by the fact no one looks at him when he walks in the room.
That's just her seeing him sort of as one last thing. That's interesting. But and that's very much Nolan's vibe.
Yeah, and I think he gets off on that. I think that's absolutely...
I think so too.
Yeah, and I don't mind that either. Do you know what I mean? Because it so often you watch a film and you're like, after a few months you've forgotten you've watched it. Whereas with a Nolan film, they tend to stay with you.
But I feel like sometimes it's a bit much. Sometimes it's like you don't need to do that. You didn't need to make it all. So
I haven't seen Tenet though. That's one of his films I haven't seen.
Tenet, I couldn't understand that people couldn't understand it.
Okay,
it's really simple. It's one of those where about half.
Chiwetel Ejiofor in it. Is it Chiwetel Ejiofor?
No, what the main character? It's I can't remember his first name. It's John David. It's David maybe Washington. It's Denzel's Washington's son. It's one of those about halfway through. It's like, cool, got it.
Yeah.
Because they explain it in the film. They're like, this is what's happening. This is how this is done. This is how that's done. You're okay, cool. That I don't understand that people don't.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, it's so mindfuck. It's like I don't. It's a bit. I get that. But I don't know.
Fair enough. It's on my list. My list. Yeah. What were we talking about?
We were giving a rippers to Val Kilmer and we've gone off on Chris Nolan.
But rippers to Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
Desperately sad. Wasn't he 67, they said? Do we know
65 maybe?
Do we know what?
I don't actually. I've not read anything about it. I just saw that he'd passed. I'm assuming, and it is an assumption, that it's a result of the cancer. It's because it's one of those things. Cancer, if you get a localized cancer, once it starts to spread, it can spread really quickly.
Oh, absolutely.
And within a couple of months, it's everywhere. Like every fucking organ is riddled with it. It's one of those that when it goes, it can go quite quickly.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. Very sad. But the thing is, I feel this can sound like a really horrible. I tried to think of a film of his that I was a fan of, and all the films I could think of, I wasn't a fan.
Really interesting.
Like Willow, didn't like it. The Batman film, didn't like it.
What, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang?
I haven't seen that.
No,
so I can't
I'm saying
that.
Watch it. You will like it.
Okay.
I know you very much, and I know that you'll like it.
I like Robert Downey Jr., so...
he's so good in it as well. And it was one of those films where he was on his comeback.
Yeah,
so
I think
like
I've heard
2005, 2006.
I think
no one would give him a chance.
Had he been to prison at that point?
Yeah, no one would really give him a chance.
Yeah.
And
was it Mel Gibson that gave him the chance?
Mel Gibson may have been involved because it's a Shane Black film, and Shane Black was involved in he was the writer of Lethal Weapon, and then he directed, I think, Lethal Weapon 3 or something. So he wrote and directed this Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Because I'm pretty sure I've seen a speech Robert Downey Jr. did where he was either giving an award to Mel Gibson and he basically said, I thought my career was over with, but Mel gave me a chance to prove myself again.
He's really happy that he's got that connection now.
Well, no, he then said, and for me to then, apparently he got him a job, like, recently, and he was like, to then be able to do that for him means a lot.
Came out and he went,
what did Mel Gibson do?
I'm really glad. I
know Mel Gibson's done a lot. But
I'm really glad Mel Gibson gave me that opportunity. Just thank God I'm not Jewish, or he would have never touched me.
Oh, is he very anti-Semitic, is he?
There was an incident where he got drunk. He was pulled over for drunk driving.
Beat his wife?
Well, he got pulled over for drunk driving, and he basically went on like a proper anti-Semitic, misogynistic rant where it was like, let me tell you everything that's wrong with Jewish and women.
Why? When you're being arrested for a DUI?
Yeah. It's why Ricky Gervais, when he hosted the Golden Globes the first time famously, and his joke for Mel Gibson coming on stage was, I like a drink as much as the next guy, unless the next guy's Mel Gibson.
Yeah, because he then gave him evils when he came up on stage, didn't he?
But if you're a celebrity, you've got to accept that that shit is going to follow you around. And it should really do more damage than it has done, I think. But
yeah. I'm pretty sure I heard that he'd beaten women as well. So, yeah. But look, it's not surprising.
The Joey Barton of Hollywood.
Yeah. I mean, look, the least shocking thing I've ever heard is that Joey Barton kicked his wife in his head. I just feel really sorry for her that she's stuck. I don't know whether she's still with him. I hope for her sake she's not. But yeah, it's always the ones you least expect.
It's always the ones you least expect.
The man who really hates women attacked his wife.
Who'd have thought it?
Yeah.
Who'd have thunk it?
But you would have thought for them to prosecute him, his wife probably had to, or ex-wife potentially now.
Yeah, press charges.
Yeah. Because normally if the victim doesn't want to take it forward, the police tend not to force it unless they think it's egregious enough to.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Good times.
What else do you want to talk about, mate?
Well, there is something.
This could end up anywhere.
Look, there is something serious I want to talk to you about. Serious-ish. We can always make jokes about it. That's what we
probably
do.
will.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
That's what we do here at Crossing Swords.
We didn't make jokes about the dying people in Myanmar.
And if you want to hear about all the jokes we've made at the past and taking aim at great large numbers of people in one single go, you can go back and do that anywhere you get your podcast. I'd really go back
to the early episodes. We were hard on it back then.
Yeah, even though the sound quality is poor, the first...
It's not that. I've gone back and listened. It's a bit tinny.
But the first 2 or 3 episodes, we really went in on some people.
Yeah.
Really, really did.
Yeah.
It became like I think the whole first season, it was like a running regular thing. Yeah. We can't do an episode
almost
without
every
attacking.
Episode we chose a group of people.
And I think around season 3 it waned and we were just like, we might attack someone, we might not.
Well, it's better when it happens spontaneously, when we don't expect it. Do you know what I mean? It's like I always think of the Mrs. Doubtfire. It was a fruiting deer.
And that unironically could be a euphemism, I think.
Absolutely.
You know, have you ever been fruited?
Many a time.
Listen. But
you look like a man who partakes in a bit of fruit.
I don't mind a bit of fruiting.
I can imagine.
Time to time. Stag do's.
Mrs. is a bit fruity, if you know what I mean.
Mrs. is very... that means something. But
I hope she listens to this, by the way.
But I hope so too, so she knows what a dick you are.
Look, she's met me a couple of times now. She must be aware.
So she stops going, he's a nice fellow. I might listen to the boy. He slags you off. Slags you off.
I would never do such a thing. And also, I don't think calling a woman fruity.
Well, the thing I was going to say, I would go home to her and say, he called you fruity, and the first thing she says, but what does that mean? Like,
nobody knows what it means.
Nobody knows.
Provocative. We need that as a soundbite, don't we?
Do you know what me and her are big fans of as well, quoting for some reason? Do you know Dodgeball when he's like, it's a bold move, cut, let's see if it pays off?
Of all the stuff I would have chosen from Dodgeball, that's not.
No, it came up once.
You're as useful as a cock-flavoured lollipop.
It came up once naturally, and then literally about a day later it came up again.
Yeah.
And so it was just like, oh, this is like a thing.
The 5 Ds of Dodgeball.
Dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge. But I want to talk to you about something seriously. I'm going to bring it back round.
Patches O'Houlihan.
So
should we get that as a soundbite? That little kid's voice going.
Oh, Patches O'Houlihan. Anything from Dodgeball, I'm for. You gotta get angry. You gotta get mean.
L's for love.
L for love. That's probably one of my favourite.
My favourite scene is probably the wrench scene. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a bar.
What?
Straight in the face.
Yeah.
Sorry. Anyway.
Yeah, literally. Do you know what the other? Just while we're on Dodgeball.
My consigliere, Michelle.
And I know that you know that I know. It's who's Steve the pirate? The guy on our team who dresses like a pirate.
Gotta go drain the sea monster.
There's a guy on our team who dresses like a pirate. What the? Hey, look, it's Steve the pirate.
I could see you having a midlife crisis and becoming a pirate.
Yeah, so could I. I could see me going in any direction with a midlife crisis. Absolutely. I really could.
Yeah.
I'm a wild card. I'm a midlife crisis wild card. I might not do the traditional.
Be on your tombstone.
Well, I'm a midlife crisis wild card. Yeah. I might not go down the traditional route of sports car, motorbike, mostly because I can't afford to. But I might, and then do something else.
In like a nudist colony. Do you know what I mean?
I could see it.
I could see it. Or as a Tibetan monk.
Yeah. I mean, it's bad enough now when I just turn up and I go, I've got a new hobby.
Yeah.
So me, midlife crisis.
Yeah. Anyway, serious subject.
Serious subject, because we do, we cover a lot of political stuff on here.
We do.
So let's cover one more political thing.
Do it.
There's a few things going on at the moment, but I want to talk to you about Just Stop Oil.
Stop it.
Oh, okay. You seen any good films lately?
The There was a film I saw recently. I can't remember what it's called now.
Oh, we'll go back to the oil thing then. So Just Stop Oil have announced recently that they are going to stop protesting. Okay. They're not going to cease as an organisation. They're going to continue on fighting in the courtroom. They're going to fight. They're going to take things down the more legal route, more traditional
rather than the
route.
activist.
Go through the processes, the proper processes, but the activism is coming to an end. And there's a few questions I want to ask you about.
Have they given a reason?
No. So this is what I want to do. So these are the questions, and I will go back to them. But I'm going to lay them all out at the top, and then we can go back and do it right. So, 1, did they have an impact? 2, and it's sort of the same, were they effective? 3, what will their legacy be? And 4, do you think that the protest laws and the sentencing for, and even planning protests, non-violent protests, and we've seen people imprisoned for even planning those, and I might be slightly downplaying them, but do you think the harsher sentencing and the harsher prison sentences around that has encouraged them to also stop as a kind of duty of care to their members?
I think, starting with the last one, I think it's impossible that doesn't play a part. When people, as you say, are getting charged with just being in a Zoom call, talking about the idea
charged with prison,
with the idea of doing a protest of some kind, then you would start to second guess that being and especially when the public narrative, when they find out these people are getting locked up, is good, then
you can't keep asking people to basically go to prison for you.
No, and then even when they are doing these things, they're getting arrested, but they're also getting attacked by the general public in some of these cases. It probably, the risk reward line is probably quite skewed. So I would imagine it plays a massive part.
I'd say one of the reasons they did give, because I'm lying, they did say something in the statement. They said that they believed that they had been effective because the government has stopped issuing new licenses for oil. Yeah. So there's been 4 turned down. So 1 in Surrey, 1 in Cumbria, 1 in the North Sea that have all applied. And when they started the application, it was under a Tory government, and it looked likely that they might get it.
Yeah.
And this Labour government have put the boot down and said, no, we're not issuing any new licenses. So they consider that to have been their aim, essentially.
Today it was announced that Labour have overridden the environmental concerns about an expansion at Luton and are going to go ahead with it.
Shocked.
So, I mean, have they been effective? The way in which I think they've been effective is by sparking conversation. I don't think they were very good at being relatable.
No. They targeted the wrong people.
Yeah, and I don't think they had a very good PR machine behind them, which isn't surprising. It wasn't a large organisation with deep, deep pockets. It was regular people.
Who are activists. They're not necessarily concerned with the image. They're concerned with the cause.
Yeah.
But what about this as an argument, just playing devil's advocate? Yep. Do you think that the conversations that have been sparked from them have not been about the issues of oil, but have been about them and their actions?
Yeah, they have, mainly.
And that's possibly the problem. In my opinion, that is the problem. That has
been. I think if you actually look at the things they did, the only one I really have an issue with was like blocking the motorway and things like that. Everything else, even like throwing paint and soup on shit,
they knew it was not going to do any damage. They didn't actually
damage anything. And like even with Stonehenge, I'm a big fan of Stonehenge. I think it's a national landmark we should look after. They didn't do any damage to it.
It washed off in the rain. It washed off before, but
all the paint they threw all sprayed on buildings. It was all environmental stuff that will wash off with rain. They didn't do any criminal damage. I think that they probably weren't good enough on the PR side. They should have had someone really well media trained going on every show and TV show, radio show possible, and I think really pushing the message.
And again, I'm just playing.
They might not have even been invited on to.
I'm just playing devil's advocate. If you were invited on, and I've seen them a couple of times on, what's the morning thing that Piers Morgan used to host? On ITV, the Good Morning Britain or whatever it's called. I've seen them a couple of times on that. But would it not be, and again, I'm just playing the devil's advocate, would you not think, if it were you and I, the cause, I'd think we're just going to be attacked, we're going on there to be villainised.
Yeah.
And it's going to be almost impossible for us to turn that image around.
Before I would have agreed with you, but having watched a lot of, and I know I talk about him almost every single week, Gary Stevenson, he's gone on to Piers Morgan and things like that, where everyone, and on Question Time and things like that, where everyone is against what he's saying. And he wins every single time he goes on because he's informed, he cares about what he's talking about.
And he's eloquent.
And he's not afraid of the person he's talking to.
No.
So I believe if you have someone who is relatable, knows what they're talking about, that doesn't get into the like mudslinging or anything like that, just talks straight facts, talks about the message, backs it up, has evidence.
With the Just Stop Oil as well, it's not just the cause that's if villainised and demonised, because if anything, most people are actually on either ambivalent or they're on board with the cause. There's very few people that are like actively against it in the general public. It's these people themselves that are being villainised and made to be, they're treated like criminals from minute one. They're like,
and we've said before, when you see the people that are part of Just Stop Oil, they are lefties, aren't they? They look like
lefties. Of course
they
are, yeah.
They look, a lot of them look like they're part of the LGBTQ plus community, and I think that makes a lot of people uncomfortable. Wrongly, but yeah, I think just that goes against them.
So what do you think, let's address the bigger question, what do you think their legacy will be?
Probably a negative one overall, because I think the vast majority of the general public doesn't think positively of them. And I think the negativity against them has allowed the Conservatives to bring in measures that make it more difficult for a better group to do it in the future, or even if they got their act together and decided to go back into activism. And
I was just about to say, so it's their action, in my belief, and I am
probably given
it's
the
their
power
actions
to the government
and Extinction Rebellion.
Yeah,
were the ones that their causes, their protests, were probably the ones that allowed the last government to push through the policing bill, basically the anti-protest bill. Because I think, like you said, the general narrative was so against them and that these people should be in prison.
People were fine with these
that they were very quick
introduced.
to put them in prison. But as we said at the time, the very dangerous thing is that's one group of people that you disagree with. You've now, if there's something come up that you don't agree with, you now can't protest it. Even just civilly having a march, having a little sit down on Parliament Green, you can't do that now because of the new protesting laws make it very difficult, and you might face prison time. So, if we want to live in a country that's about freedom, and again, it's not without consequence. If these people have caused, not delay or disruption, but if they've really caused damage, then absolutely they should be facing the consequences for that.
And I think, sadly, it also plays into the anti-woke movement. Do you know what I mean? Like,
the culture wars have been stoked massively by it.
Yeah, and again, you could argue they've, more than almost any other cause, fed into that. And as much as most people aren't against climate change, it's still something that's incredibly hotly debated in terms of how much effect do we actually have on it, you know, and all these things. I think that all feeds into it. And the anti-woke movement, where anything remotely left-leaning gets shat on and turned into something negative when it isn't a negative. It's actually about helping people.
Do you think the best impact, the biggest impact in the long run that Just Stop Oil can have is for future protesters and groups to look at them
and learn from
them and say that they were certainly effective in terms of some of the places they infiltrated? You know, they infiltrated the snooker. I think they infiltrated the F1. I can't remember, but they infiltrated. But they did. They did the whole. I thought, was that Everton? Was that Just Stop Oil when the guy?
Oh, he handcuffed his neck or something.
Yeah, he put bike chain around his neck to the goalpost, and you got that wonderful clip of the student with the with the clippers.
They glued themselves to some stuff. They did all sorts, to be fair. And look, I would imagine if you were a member of Just Stop Oil that took part in those protests and those stunts, you probably would feel like you've done a good job, and that, you know, the fact it has been spoken about, whether the view of them is negative or positive, they probably don't care.
You'll look back and you'll go, ultimately, I was fighting for the future of our planet.
And what I thought was right.
So if you know, what's a more noble cause in the future of our planet than keeping our planet alive and our species alive? there's very few more noble causes. So you can hold
especially
your head
when
high,
the whole
if that's what you
world
believe
is
you've
against
done.
you as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think if you were to ask them, they've got a positive legacy, and probably if you zoom out, yeah, it probably is positive, but it's also highly negative at the same time. I think it's both. Two truths can be. Do you know what I mean? Two things can be the truth at the same time.
And I would argue that they probably they probably were counterproductive because of their perception in the public and in the media. It meant that it was very difficult for any government to side with them.
Yeah.
Because they don't really want to be associated with them. They certainly don't want to give these people a victory.
I was just thinking it's really odd that like the Greens were never aligned with them publicly. I never saw anything about the Greens supporting them or anything like that. And you would think
only to come out in condemnation of prison sentences for certain offences.
That in terms of supporting their actions or being a part of their actions in any way or trying to work together, I've never seen anything, and you'd think they'd be.
I think it's just because
bedfellows.
As we said, they've had such a negative.
I think the Greens
perception.
are really bad with PR as well.
Yeah, the Greens aren't. We could do a good job for the Greens.
Yeah, like just fucking get out there. Do you know what I mean? Like you need Carla Denyer and the other leader whose name escapes me to be on every show possible constantly. Going on podcasts and do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Like even going on stuff like Trigonometry, a more right wing podcast to like expose yourself to that side of things. And
well, especially going on doing like the right wing, not the far right wing, but the right wing rounds. It's starting a conversation in those circles and it's putting your point across.
And again, if you can go on with facts, don't get involved in mudslinging, don't get down into culture war stuff. Just be like, look, I'm not interested in that. I'm only going to talk about.
Do you know one of my favourite, and I think I would love to have it here. I mean, we could probably pull it up now and play it through the phone. But one of my favourite left wing on a right wing show moment is the dude with Mike Graham on Talk Radio.
Oh, when he talks about growing cement.
Because he's basically a carpenter.
He's like, you can't grow cement.
And he's like, I work with wood. And he goes, well, you're cutting down trees. And he went, yeah, but it's sustainable because trees will regrow.
Yeah.
And he went, you can't grow things like cement. And he went, yeah, you can.
Of course you can.
Graham, of course you can. You can grow cement. And then it was like, and then he sort of like cut the dude off as if he's won. And it's like, you can grow cement, Mike.
Yeah.
Please grow cement. Please show us.
But look,
show us your cement tree.
If we've been taught anything in recent times, is that if you
truth doesn't matter.
If you fuck something up, just double down.
Yeah.
You know, fine. There's cement trees now, apparently.
Yeah. The Just Stop Oil thing.
What do you think? Do you think they're going to have a positive legacy, or?
I think their faults were twofold. I think they were. The protests were probably a bit too aggressive. And I think the reason why they were too aggressive and the reason that was a fault is because they were targeting the wrong people. They were hurting the wrong people. They were hitting the wrong people. Now, I've always said the one criticism of them is that they were really disruptive, and that's one criticism that shouldn't be. The point of a good protest is to be disruptive. Yeah. If you're not disruptive, people aren't going to. Conversation's not going to get going. People are just going to walk around you and not bother.
Yeah.
But I do think they were disrupting. You know, when they did blocked off the M25. The thousands of people that you're affecting are the everyday working class people.
Who you need on your side.
That are ultimately just trying to go about their day. They're in no way, in any way, control, other than obviously in elections. They're in no way control of any licensing of oils, any drilling of oil, any movement of. I mean, there's probably a few oil truck tankers on the road. I don't always agree with the whole "what if an ambulance can't get through" thing, because I think. I don't know, that it's hyperbolic a little bit in my opinion. Whilst I agree with it.
No, but it's possible.
I agree with it in principle, but I do think it's a little hyperbolic. And I also think my other criticism of that is, well, where was that conversation when the farmers were running their protests through London?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Where was the, what if an ambulance can't get through? Because it is a valid point.
Yeah, but rich landowners, Jake.
But I think
They're struggling.
For me, it only carries weight if it's issued equally in every scenario. But they literally affected thousands of people, and they were the wrong people.
Yeah.
So I do think that you're really not going to get people on your side, and I accept that the point of an activist is not to be popular, per se. But with most causes, you know, they split the room. I don't think Just Stop Oil split the room. I think there are very few people, even on like this sort of maybe on the far left, but even on like the centre left, that would support them.
Yeah.
I think the general conversation about them would be...
I support their sentiment. I support their ideals.
I was just about to say, they support the cause, but not the actions.
Yeah.
So I do think that that's probably...
And it never felt like they learnt from that. Do you know what I mean? It felt
they doubled down on it.
It felt like they were just like, we just need to keep going viral over and over and over again to keep the conversation in the public.
I do think the problem is that the conversation...
as you said, we spend more time talking about them rather than the cause itself.
It's the wrong conversation.
And I think it's definitely led to conversations. But we're in a situation now where none of our targets are going to get met in terms of net zero. So I find it weird that they're like mission accomplished sort of
Whereas
thing.
with
Do you know what I mean?
I know it's different because
I actually think that I'd have respected it more if they went, look, the heat we need to go away, have a think, work on how we approach this, and we'll be back.
I think it's slightly different because of the general perception of like we have this weird thing where we must love and protect, in the media anyway, we must love and protect, like you said, rich landowners.
Yeah.
So that it's already from the off, it's coming from a biased position.
Yeah.
But when the farmers protested, the conversation was about farming. It was about the inheritance
tax.
When it
comes to the farmers, if you're a small family farmer, you are a struggling family. There's no welfare.
And the inheritance tax could put you out.
Yeah.
It could.
But as you've said before, when the person at the front of your cause is Jeremy Clarkson and Andrew Lloyd Webber and people of that ilk, it's not going to cut the mustard, is it?
Because they're not relatable, they're not everyday.
Well, and especially when Jeremy Clarkson was, no matter what he tries to say, he was quoted as saying he bought his farm for inheritance tax reasons. You know, like it just doesn't. He's not the person you should.
It's very difficult for someone like Andrew Lloyd Webber or Jeremy Clarkson to tell you that they're financially struggling.
Yeah,
it's just it doesn't come across.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny when I was watching Clarkson's Farm. I haven't finished it, but I was like, he's putting a lot of money into this,
no doubt.
And I was like, who's fund? I wondered, like, is Amazon funding that? Is he funding that? Then I looked at how much he's been paid by Amazon to do the show.
The Grand Tour as well paid him very, very generously.
200 million he's made from Clarkson's Farm, just from Amazon.
Yeah, so that's
the
comings and goings of Diddley Squat Farm don't really add up to anything.
Chicken scratch to him, but to an everyday farmer, and he's got a lot of land, by the way, a lot of.
Well, like you said, he poured it all in because he was trying to avoid.
Yeah. And like, to be fair, where he lives is stunning. The land he owns is stunning. His home's beautiful.
It's in Oxfordshire, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. But and like the people, he's done a wonderful thing for that lad, Caleb, and he's done good, and he has, I think, earnestly fought for the farmers.
I think he's come around to, he used to be.
His eyes has been open to
the struggles of a farmer.
Yeah,
but the difference is he can financially absorb the struggles.
Absolutely.
It's the stresses he's still got.
And he can just go, we'll open a shop, and I can build a shop, and we'll just build a car park, and all these.
But for everyday farmers,
they can't do that.
They can't absorb those costs. But the point is, when they have their protest, the discussion is about the issue. It's not about the farmers. We're going, why are they protesting? But when it's the Just Stop Oil people, we go, what can we do about them? Why are they so disruptive? What drives you to do that? Even the more like left-leaning places, the conversation is, what would drive a teacher who's got a lovely, comfortable life, or a retired teacher who's got a lovely, comfortable life, who's always been, what would drive them to go to prison for this? But it's not the cause, it's the person, it's the people, it's the protests. Yeah. And I think that's been, like you said, I think as impactful as it was in the national conscience, they should have had the ability, someone in the organisation who's got enough weight to say, we're yielding the wrong results.
Yeah.
Let's hit pause, let's rethink.
And as I don't know what the answer is. I don't think it has had the impact they think it has. I think they've had, like I said, if I was one of them, I'd think I'd had a positive impact, and they have. But they also, as we said, had a negative impact, and I don't think they've yielded the results they think they do, or think they have, rather.
And look, I fully support, even if I don't support the actions, I fully support and endorse every single one of those protesters who have put their own lives and livelihoods on the line. I know lives sounds dramatic.
To fight for our planet,
to fight for
all of us.
The future that they believe in, and that's the way they believe is a crucial part of the future.
No, I will always admire, and their protests were non-violent. Do you know what I mean?
And so I feel bad that these people have sacrificed so much people in prison for 4 or 5 years. And when they come out, they're going to have all the stipulations of having been in prison and all that stuff. And look, it's going to be one of those things where as soon as, if they find out why they were in prison, because they were part of the Just Stop Oil, rather than they go, I went to prison for non-violent protest, you might go, okay. But as soon as word gets out that, oh, you're a Just Stop Oil, immediately their employers are going to be like, oh, troublemaker, I need to get you gone.
About who they
or
are.
I can't hire you. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So I feel a little bad for everything that's sacrificed for me to stand here and go, I don't think it was that successful. I don't think it was that impactful.
As I said, I think the two things are true at the same time. It's had an impact and it hasn't had an impact.
But I think the legacy, to sum it up, if I was trying to sum it up briefly, the legacy will be as troublemakers.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
It won't be as civil protesters, even though they were civilly protesting.
Yeah,
it'll be as troublemakers.
Yeah, and I think the time in which
I'm very far left, by the way, in a lot of it ways,
plays into it. It's at a time where, for the first time in generations, the social contract's been broken. People are on their knees. It's getting worse. And yeah, doing anything that just affected the general public as well is the wrong way to go about it. And I think that's why it was poorly timed. And like I said, I don't think I necessarily know instinctively what they should have been doing.
No,
I don't know. That's not what they should have been doing.
I was going to ask you, but I thought I probably won't, because you might throw it back to me, and I don't know what the answer is of how they could have successfully protested.
I don't know, but I feel like if me and you sat down and like
really
brainstormed, we could come. Like I think of things like I would have picked a distribution centre for oil or something like that in this country, and did a human shield wall round their entrance to disrupt a big company.
It needs to be disruptive enough and disruptive of something important enough and impactful enough that it makes the news cycle.
Yeah,
but it can't be like we were saying. It can't be like let's break the workday for or disrupt for thousands of people on the M25.
They should have had a podcast as well.
Maybe they might have.
I've never heard of a Just Stop Oil. Remember, I'll look it up after the show, but I doubt there is one.
Look it up now.
See if there's a Just Stop Oil or Extinction Rebellion podcast. Because you'd think with how viral they were going, they'd get some clicks, wouldn't they? If you had a podcast and put it on YouTube. But then would they have got in trouble for talking about doing illegal activities? Do you know what I mean?
Sorry, say that again. I was looking. I don't think they do, by the way.
No, but so that straight away, that's something different they could have done. Do you know what I mean?
It's tough, but I do think that ultimately...
And get experts on. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, straight up, I think that's something they could have done immediately.
It feels like a well-intentioned machine with a poor PR department.
Yeah, not the right people involved.
Not that they had a PR department.
That sort of feels like a left-wing fault, though, doesn't it? Like there's not the right people. Like, because I think it's the old adage of like those most suited to wield power are the least adept at seeking power out, whereas those who are the least suitable to wield power are the best at seeking it out. It feels a bit like that. Do you know what I mean?
It feels like a lot of the time with the far left, one of the general problems they have is that they fight so tooth and nail for a cause that what they aren't is affable and friendly, and
do you think the left
they come off as standoffish?
Do you think the left
they come across as angry? This angry left because
we care about what it is we're talking. The cause. Yeah, whereas I think you have to a
There's
degree,
no PR,
you need to strip that back and it just be about the cause and not about how it's making you feel.
Well, also,
we're probably quite guilty of that ourselves.
It needs to be relatable.
Yeah.
And for example, with the left, because unfortunately it is a lot of doom and gloom, whereas the right is, I would say just at the moment, and you can maybe say historically, but like just at the moment, I would say the far left the far right, are all in denial and the country's great or the world's great. It's going to turn around. We're all going to be amazing. Don't worry about it. The good things are coming.
Yeah, we'll just continue as we are, and it will.
Whereas the left is kind of, we said it before, it's kind of like, look, the world's shit, and the only way it's getting better is through sincere hard work. We've got to turn things around in a big way.
And that's not a fun message.
It's tough to swallow.
Yeah,
the right's a bit easier to swallow. So even though they've both got their own problems, because one's not real and one's
all it requires of you, by and large, is to believe that person over there is a problem.
So I think the left need to, even though they are maybe right in how far they need things to go, they need to just start small and give people something easier to swallow.
And I think also the left can be, and we're guilty of it ourselves, of when we say about how bad these things are, rarely do we have a solution or even an inkling of how we turn it around. And I think that's partly, again, to bring him up, Gary Stevenson. He's giving ideas alongside it, like, we'll tax this. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's not just going, yeah, it's all fucked and I don't know how we fix it. No, but
we have come up with a few over the years. We've come up with a few solutions. And
definitely. But I think, by and large, if you watch left-wing people on podcasts or on the news or on a show, they're just telling us how bad it is. And it's like, yeah, we all agree it's bad, but, you know, and I think that's where, as you were saying, like with the right, they're like, well, yeah, it's just immigrants are the problem. So, like, they're offering a solution. It's the wrong one. But their attitude is, well, if we just get rid of these foreigners...
Or just being in complete denial and go, actually, it feels bad to you, but actually it's really good.
But one of the points Gary Stevenson makes is like, yeah, but for these people it is going well. Like, if you talk to an economist, they've grown up normally in very good circumstances with a very wealthy family, and they've gone to Oxford, they've gone to Cambridge. And like a news presenter, like, he went on Newsnight and said, I guarantee you everyone on this panel's 20 grand, because he said... Since COVID, the deficit went up to $1 trillion. And he was like, that's 20 grand per adult in the UK. He said, he said, no one that's working class will be 20 grand better off. He said, but I guarantee everyone on this panel is 20 grand better off. And even Fiona Bruce was like, oh, well, you clearly don't know how well BBC pay their presenters. And then since she's been fact-checked and her pay's gone up to 500 grand.
Yeah. It's also, I think... which is everyone's better off. Yeah, it's also that thing as well of, even though it is important overall for the markets and the knock-on effect is for stuff we do pay for.
Yeah.
But when they talk about, you know, you'll often hear about the stock markets being up or down, and it's like, that's great if you've got shares.
Yeah.
And I don't just mean like share, but like considerable shares that are making
If you
considerable
just have
dividends.
Like, I don't know, a few £100 in a company.
Yeah. Like I've got shares.
Yeah.
They're doing very well. I can't retire on those. Like, I've literally invested maybe 80 quid.
Yeah.
And I'm up to just shy of 100. Like, the value is now just shy of 100.
Yeah.
My dividends are like 3p a year. Do you know what I mean? I can't do fuck all on that.
I've listened to so many financial experts say that unless you have money, you can't make money in the stock market.
No. But my point is, even though the stocks and shares are up, that doesn't actually make anyone better off who hasn't got money. It's only those that have got the money that are better off. They're like, oh, I'm doing really well at the moment. I'm not. You're not.
But the argument being made
Our listeners aren't.
Everyone is that, but we can't tax those people more because they'll leave. And it's like, well, if they're not paying into the system, let them fucking leave.
Yeah, there's no point in being here anyway. We're not going to miss them.
They might be able to take stocks and shares, but they can't take assets with them. They can't take properties. They can't take land. All the things the physical things that they own, they can't take those with them. Do you know what I mean? So they are just... But yeah, the thing with Gary is I feel like his message is cutting through because he's doing a bit of all of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's pointing out the problem, giving a solution. He's taking on different people. He's showing them up.
I'm very much just playing the devil's advocate here today, I feel. Yeah. I've not come across anything of his.
Okay. Yeah, but you don't really engage in YouTube that much.
No, not a lot.
And I would argue nowadays, politics it's on the internet as much as
I'm also on the internet. I might not be on YouTube as much, but I'm also on the internet, and I've not come across him that much.
Fair enough.
So is his message cutting through? Is it cutting through to everyone? Is it?
Well, no, not to everyone. But it's growing. Is the point I'm making, and it's growing very fast as well. Like you're hearing, like Newsnight did a wealth inequality night because of him. They wouldn't have done that otherwise. Do you know what I mean? So
I don't know. I mean, I'll take you on that, but I don't know that.
No, like
there's no way to prove that, is there?
If you were literally to start, no, but if you had followed it, it's quite obvious. He's appearing on everything, talking about it. It's being talked about more by politicians now, and maybe that's not just on him; it's on everyone involved in that movement. But yeah, I think it's cutting through and it's making an impact. Certainly, I mean, if you asked him, he would say he doesn't think it's going to win, doesn't think it's going to work, because he thinks there's too many resources going against it.
There are a lot of resources going against it.
And he said, and if you're a billionaire that has an influence in the media and you have two options, people are either saying we need to address wealth inequality, or the other message that's cutting through is immigrants are the problem. Which one are they going to lean into? They're going to lean into immigrants are the problem.
Yeah, you're going to blame anyone but yourself.
He said, look at Elon Musk. He said he never used to be a right-winger and then...
He got enough money that he is.
Yeah.
And influence. Enough money and influence.
Buys Twitter and all of a sudden goes right-wing and anti-immigration.
I said I really do think he'd been radicalised by his own website as well. Obviously the money in his position has changed, but he's been like...
for him, hasn't it? So
social media is, though, isn't it? It literally just feeds you back the things that...
Yeah, no matter what you're into, it's what it throws at you, yeah.
So
and the things for me, I think because I've engaged with his stuff, I see it constantly.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I've never seen it, so I've never engaged with it, so I don't see it.
So it doesn't feed it to you.
But no one I'm engaged with is sharing it, is showing it.
No, that's fair enough. Well, I think he's only just at like 1 million subscribers now. But that's grown quite quickly. He was at like 250,000 not that long ago, and it's banged up to 1 million. And I think that'll keep going. Because I think people are looking for answers. Do you know what I mean?
People always want answers, and it's the tough thing of, and I do really truly believe this as someone who's on the left, and I'm not just saying this to defend my own position. I do truly believe that the right have from the off, despite the fact that they do, you know, most of the mainstream media, I fucking hate the fact that I've just used that phrase, but most of the mainstream media in this country is right wing.
Yeah.
But I do think they have an easier position to start with, because their message is easier. It's asking people to do less.
Well, it doesn't require any effort of someone to start believing that a foreigner's the problem.
Yeah, it's also saying if you sit back and let us handle it, we'll handle it. We'll get rid of them all. You know,
you don't need to do anything. We know you're struggling. We know how difficult it is. Let us deal with the problem, and it's fine. Whereas the other message is, no, we all need to come together and start demanding shit of politicians and.
It's a lot. It's
demanding
a tougher
change, yeah.
Because it's negative. Because it does say things aren't good.
Yeah.
And if we want them to get better, we're going to have to go through some hardships.
Yeah.
Whereas the right is sort of saying, things are things. Even if things are bad, it's really easy. Because once we get rid of all the left, then things will be good.
Yeah.
Like you say, once we get rid of the immigrants, once we, whoever, once we stop getting rid of these.
If I'm being honest, I don't think it is going to work. I don't think the left will win. I don't think the demand for wealth inequality to change will win.
And we're so blindsided by our weird support for the rich and the wealthy that...
For some reason, we're terrified they're going to leave.
Well, there's large groups... It's not even like there's large groups of people in this country, just focusing on this country, that will believe... when we're being told that the reason there's not enough money feeding down to us is because of these bloody human rights laws.
Yeah.
Because we're being treated so well, the money can't filter through that barrier.
Yeah.
So we need to take those away, and then the money will get... It's like, how thick do you have to... And that's part of the... I know you've said before, this aggressive approach. That's part of my...
as well.
But I can't get over that. Because it's like, why would you believe that having fewer rights...
is of a benefit,
it's easy to look at someone else and go, yeah, we should take those rights, but they're your rights that get taken away as well, and that's what people don't get.
The problem is people don't look into any of it. So like when Kemi Badenoch goes on television and says, yeah, we need to leave the ECHR, people don't know what that means. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All she's telling them is, yeah, well, that's giving foreigners rights, so we need to take that away. So we
and
can
it's foreign
treat them
courts,
however we want.
and it's all this and that.
Yeah, we need to take back control, and and that does, again, it doesn't require any effort from someone, because they're telling you the problem is foreigners, and this is how we fix it. We leave the East.
But it's really easy to support the ECHR because you turn around and you say, do you know what covered in human rights laws? The fact that you don't have to work 100 hours a week. the fact that, the average working week is like 39 hours or 40 hours.
Is those people go, yeah, but why would those companies do that to us?
Yeah, you go, oh, they would, but you know,
do you know
maternity leave, paternity leave, sick
but why
pay,
would they take that away?
sick pay, all of that. And I get that. But all we have to do is come out and say that all those things are under the human rights laws,
and we didn't always have them.
We had to fight to get them.
Yeah,
we used to send children up chimneys, fuck their lungs up for pittance an hour, at all ungodly hours. They couldn't have a life beyond that.
No, and
that's. Human rights laws have brought an end to that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, but anyway, we've got way off track. I think we've just ended up talking about right v left, but the just a boil thing.
I think it's a big part of that. I think it really is. I think all of it boils down to culture wars rather than the issues
and look,
themselves.
They have, like I said, they have aggressively stuck to the cause rather than thinking about the social impact and thinking about the perception.
Yeah.
It's almost the doggedly. They've almost taken the Millwall approach of being very dogged and being like, no one likes us, we don't care. That's the point.
Yeah, if anything, it fed their egos to a degree, I think.
Yeah, possibly made them think that they were on the right track.
I would thank the people that have gone to prison for standing up to us, but I would be honest enough to say to their faces that I think they also got it wrong.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I respect the commitment. So.
Yeah, and at the core of it, what they trying to do, the cause and the results of if they were to get rid of a lot of the natural gas usage, and certainly the drilling for oil and stuff. Yeah, 100%. The environmental impact is wholly positive, and it will add years onto the lifespan of the Earth and of the human race, rather than detract or even be negative. It will add them on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's no good if everyone thinks you're a cunt.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
no.
It's no one's ever gone, oh, do you know who makes a really good point? At prick in the corner.
Yeah.
You go, I can give a shit what they say.
No, he's a wanker, so
I'm not listening to him. I'm not even going to listen to him because he's a fucking prick.
No.
And I think that's kind of the legacy of Just Oil.
And I think that's where people like James O'Brien go wrong. Do you know what I mean? He gets so self-righteous on something. Yeah. Like, he's put me off recently over I don't know how aware of it you are. Do you know the Sangita Myska situation?
Yes. Yeah, because there's a bit of controversy around it.
For anyone who doesn't know, it's hotly debated, but she was suddenly taken off of presenting LBC. And it came...
I think was she a Saturday presenter? Did she present the Saturday afternoons?
She did a 2 or 3 days, if I remember correctly. But she was getting more and more popular at the time. And
I tuned in a few times.
And I really liked her. I thought she was good. And she did an interview with an Israeli official, I think it was, and she basically gave him a really hard time.
She took him to town, 100%. Because she was like, basically, I've not seen the full clip or the full interview, but she basically was like, but that's just not true. That's clearly propaganda. That's not
doing what a journalist should do and was holding someone to account.
Yeah.
But she was removed off... Well, not removed off air, but after that day, she didn't appear again. And then it was announced she was leaving LBC, and they were replacing her. Was it Vanessa? Is it
Vanessa Feltz? Yeah. Who I've listened to a couple of times just because I'm like, do you know what? I'll give her a chance. She's garbage.
Yeah.
The show's not good.
But as part of that, she was forced to sign an NDA.
Yeah.
And
which adds to the controversy.
Yeah. So people are like, so was she removed for that interview? And recently, someone phoned up James O'Brien and used it as an example of censorship. And James O'Brien snapped at the bloke and was like, time. With all due respect, mate, I was in the room, was it every month where we had to all sit down and look at our viewing figures in front of everyone? And was basically implying that her viewing figures were so shit that that's why they let her go. And then a lot of people dug up old posts from LBC that were showing not only were her views good, but they were growing. And she was one of the more popular presenters on LBC. So what that's shown is that James O'Brien can be just like everyone else, which is factional and blind because of, I assume, loyalty to
and
his
also
employer.
his argument with that caller was he said, I've been critical of Israel.
Yeah.
And I'm still on the air. But the difference is...
He's their biggest presenter.
He's not super critical of Israel. No. He'll ask the odd question.
He dances the line,
whereas she was very clearly...
pro-Palestine and anti-Israel.
Anti-Israel.
See, I'm personally, from everything I've seen, I don't think it was a viewing figures issue. I think she was let go because an investor of some kind phoned them up and said, yeah, we can't be having
there's
that.
every chance that they pulled her to the side after the show and said, you know, look, we understand that's your position, blah, 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 but it was very aggressive.
We need you to apologise.
We need you to, or even just saying, look, we need you to just tone it down and maybe even just saying, lay off Israel for a while. Don't. And she might have responded in a way that was not very, you know, that you wouldn't respond to your boss.
I don't think so.
Like if you tell your boss to fuck off in any industry.
Yeah.
If your boss tells you to do, if your boss tells you to do something and you go, fuck off, I'm going to keep doing what I want.
Yeah.
In any industry, it's not going to go down. Like you say, there's no way to know what happened.
But yeah, since then, that's put me off of James O'Brien.
Oh, I get that. I completely get that.
Because that's the opposite of everything I wouldn't have minded if he just said, look, mate, that's a very controversial thing. None of us know the ins and outs of it, what was or wasn't said, but I have reason to believe that's not the reason. That would have been a very different reaction, but he fucking went off on the bloke.
And the thing is, look, it may have been the case where...
And tried to shame Sangita at the same time, saying, well, that was the other part, was that he was like, she's chosen not to speak about this. And it's like, James isn't a fucking idiot.
No.
He knows she would have signed an NDA.
And maybe LBC told all their employees that
he might have
this
been
is what
lied
happened.
to.
Yeah.
He might have been lied
to. But I do understand. And also, he's very blind to the media in general. So he has like this, because he's got a media background and he's got a background
I think he still has faith in institutions.
Yeah, big time. And also, like, yeah, the fact that there's certain journalists that are shite journalists. They will attack people. They're very aggressive. But if they worked for institutions that he's been a part
He'll
of,
overlook it.
He's more inclined to go, well, they may have made a mistake in this, that, and the other. But whereas if it's someone like Richard Littlejohn, who's a fucking cunt, by the way, if you ever read any pieces that he's ever written, poses himself as this patriot. He's like the least patriotic person I've ever seen. He's actively working against our country. But he'll be very critical because there's no like natural crossover between the two other than the fact that they're both journalists and have worked for newspapers. So he's very blind to that stuff as well, I've noticed in the past. There's certain conversations where if I'm listening to LBC, it's the same with all the presenters, I guess, probably even more so with Nick Ferrari. There are certain topics where if they come up at the start of the hour, they go, this hour we're discussing this, I just turn off.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't
ever listen to Nick Ferrari anymore.
I sometimes catch the end of the show in the morning. And he's so like, I don't know how to describe it.
He's gone old man Tory.
He's old man Tory, 100. Yeah,
and he didn't used to be like that because my parents used to listen to him every morning, like taking us to school, and I really liked him, and it got me into talk radio. But he's completely different to what he used to be.
He is old man Tory, and when he talks about certain issues like
parents struggling, for example, I've heard him talk about, and the way.
Well, have you heard his views about people on working from home?
No, I haven't.
And he's sort of, part of him is playing a devil's advocate, but I also sometimes think, the way you're saying it is like you kind of believe. Because he'll say, oh, come on, they all just like, they all like dossing around, having a nap in the afternoon and sitting there with their feet.
Do you know what that is? It's jealousy.
Yeah, because he can't work from home.
Well, no, but their generation had to do it the hard way. They had to go to an office 9 to 5 and do all the hard bits. Whereas if that's just, it's a race to the bottom, innit? Like if I could have a job where I could work from home at least a few days a week, and have a far better work life balance,
for me,
I think that'd be fantastic.
If I was an office worker, if I was a white collar worker, my ideal working situation would be a hybrid working situation where one day a week or maybe one day every fortnight I'd go into the office because there are times when I'm more productive in the office, but also the social aspect of it.
Absolutely.
I need that social aspect of it.
I've heard Alan talk about it because he's had to deal with that within his job and helping people transition back into the office at times and things like that. And he said he thinks a hybrid situation is better because everyone needs that social aspect.
And I believe you discussed that on the podcast, so people can go and listen to that episode. But yeah, for me, that would be it, because also the biggest thing, and there are things you miss by not being in the office, but the biggest things you get are work-life balance, because there's no commute.
Yeah.
Money, even though you're spending more on energy bills,
You're not having to pay for a car to get to work.
Or if you use the train, that's even more extortionate. Yeah. Like that's ridiculous money. So you're almost certainly saving money.
We know a couple where the husband works from home and they have 3 children.
Yeah.
So it must be helpful that if anything goes wrong,
they're there.
He's just upstairs.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, big time. Like, yeah. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. No. So we've discussed the legacy of Just Stop Oil anyway.
Yeah,
I think
that
overall
took a lot longer than I thought it would, to be fair.
We dived off like we do, like a good boy. Well, I don't think we made many jokes about it, though. We treated it with all seriousness.
Yeah.
Although I did call them cunts. So take that with a pinch of salt.
I don't remember you calling them cunts.
I implied that they were cunts, I think, when I said that.
They did some cunty stuff.
Yeah, but like cunty is in bad, because cunty now can mean good. You'd be like, look at that. Serving cunt. That's a good thing in young people terms.
Do you listen to Joe Politics by any chance?
No, why?
Because that's something they've said and I didn't understand it on there, yeah.
No, it's just a young people thing.
What, serving cunt?
Yeah, it's like slay. You know, that person's slaying, that person's serving cunt.
Well, look, the root to all things is vagina.
Here's to vaginas. The cause of and problems to all of life's problems.
Look, as me and Joe discussed, women are the problem.
Yeah, well,
and they're the solution. 2 things can be true at the same time.
Yeah. Those pesky women.
Look, as Joe said, we're just walking around looking all attractive.
Do you know what I've just read?
And men are just going, you know,
yeah,
what do you expect them to do?
The other thing as well is, like, when you look at when people get to, like, their sort of, like, 50s, I guess, it really starts to kick in. Men generally have better skin because makeup will really fuck the skin up long term.
Yeah.
And because we're not subject to wearing it and we don't have to wear it, we can choose to wear it, but there's no like societal expectation. Our skin generally looks better.
Yeah.
Like, so even the long-term benefits.
As we age, or we tend to.
The long-term benefits of men, and we're allowed to age.
Yeah. And we, like, all of the things we are as men, like, most of the time, we're fertile until we die.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Whereas women not only get the worst end of the stick in terms of...
And then they have to go through the menopause, like, which is even worse.
Yeah, then the menopause, they then can't have children anymore.
And it's that thing of like, oh, the menopause, surely that'll only last... No, could last 20 years. Yeah, that's just... There's no end to it.
Crossing swords for us to talk about women's problems without a woman present.
But women, do you know what else I've just realised as well?
Crossing Swords episode, tandem,
there are so
insulting groups, talking about people without being present.
Classic, and a bit of left-leaning politics to top it all off.
Classic BBC.
Classic. No, wait. I've got it.
Classic BBC, that.
And do you know what? There's way more terms that I can think of for women than I can for men.
Oh, really?
We're like men, blokes, fellas, guys. Women like broads.
Birds.
Dames, birds, bitches,
darlings,
yeah, babes, chicks,
slags.
It's endless. I mean,
when we say these things, it's with affection and understanding.
I love you, slags. Know this.
You bitches mean the world to me.
I love chicks.
Who doesn't?
Make no mistake.
Do you think we could post this on TikTok, or do you think?
Well, I love chicks.
Well, no, but there's just
this
we just
section
did about women in general. Or do you think it'd be done for hate crime?
Well, look, I don't hate women. My problem is
I have complicated.
I love them so much it makes me angry.
There's a common issue for men. I thought we'd end up talking about adolescence today as well, and we've just completed because I finished.
Because you finished it.
Yeah.
How good is it, by the way?
It was good. I mean, look, we just don't have the time to talk
don't.
about it, so we'll have to talk about that another time. But no, I've enjoyed this episode.
It's been. I was going to say it's been different, but it hasn't. We picked a topic and rambled off of it.
No, and I like those episodes now. Like, because when you said the other day you had stuff to talk about, I was like, oh, cool, we'll be fine. Do you know what I mean?
I like the ones where we don't have anything, and we end up going. They end up being like mental health episodes. They tend to be those ones where we just kind of talk about ourselves.
What does that say about us, though? That basically our mental health is just one step back from everything else that's going on, that if we don't have something immediately on our minds,
then we go to our own issues.
We're crying inside. And we're ready to explode.
I'm often ready to explode. Yeah. Just remember, blade up.
Or reversed.
Reversed. You just don't want to be doing that.
If you're Edward Scissorhanding, just turn your hands opposite.
I reckon that's a thing.
That's the thing. You could use the back of your hand.
You could use the back of your hand. But again, you've just got to be so... Because, like, think about this, right? Think about the position here. That's all I'm going to think about. Right? You're doing that. You
need to be laying down.
Those blades are getting dangerously close to your thighs. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
so now we've got to have leg straps to
you've
widen our stance.
Fully. And let me tell
be in the birth position.
I am not physically capable of my legs going that far apart.
Once upon a time, maybe.
When I was like 16, I was quite flexible.
Yeah, you were.
Now, I can't do anything without making an involuntary noise.
Yeah. Do you want to end on a joke?
Have you got a joke?
I have got one. I've been doing it recently and it's really shit. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Interrupting cow.
Interrupting
No!
Yeah, boy. Classic BBC.
Disgusting!
Disgusting!
It was one of his!
See what you put them on separate. Oh no, they're not on separate pages.
I think they are.
Well, it was fucking one of yes.
They are.
No,
Have a big world.
Just wanted to get an endorsement.
I'll never
there.
live that down.
Peppa Pig World.
Yeah.
Do you know who I reckon's a big fan of Peppa Pig World?
Who?
David Cameron.
It's probably his favourite play. It must be difficult for him because
Yeah.
everyone knows. If they see him there, they know what he's. And that's really inappropriate because there's children around. You can't be sexually aroused around children.
You can't be. You cannot be sexually aroused around children. I think if there's one takeaway from this episode, despite all of the protesting tips that we can give you,
please stop being sexually aroused around children.
Not be sexually aroused around children.
If you're thinking about,
I'll tell you what though. Ready? This is perfect.
Classic BBC.
From the 80s, allegedly, from the 70s and the 80s, allegedly.
Some of them still at it.
Classic BBC.
We had Hugh Edwards.
Yeah, that's true. Surprised Philip Schofield never did BBC based on that.
I bet he worked for them at some point.
Actually, I think he did do breakfast for them.
There you go.
That's where he picked up the habit.
Do you think it's just a requirement when you sign up?
Yeah, they were like, "What's your views on kids?" And you go,
I love them.
Yeah, I love kids. And they were like, "Do you love them or love them? You know, where are we at here?" And if you say, "I'm really not sure where you're going with this," they're like, "I'm really sorry, we've reviewed your application and it's just
We'll be
not,
in touch.
Yeah, we will be in touch. But if you go, "I love them," then they're like,
especially if you immediately start tenting as well.
They check.
So could you just sit back for a moment?
They take a blood pressure machine, and when they ask that question, if there's a spike,
yeah, then they know.
Here's your office.
Yeah, if they mention the word children, you go, ah!
Here's your office. It's next to a creche.
Yeah. And we recommend you do bring children to work.
It's every day's bring your child
just
to
not
work
yours.
In the BBC.
Bring someone else's.
You do like, kid swap.
Yeah.
You bring one in, you take one home.
That show would have a lot of insurance issues, wouldn't it?
Oh my God. I mean, how many paedophiles would apply for that?
A few.
We'd do well if it was only a few.
Do you know what? That would be a really good sting operation. We've just come up with a great way to catch paedophiles.
You're welcome.
Take that one, police.
So yeah, take that one, paedophile hunters.
And also have the BBC be a part of it, because then people will think they're safe if the BBC are involved.
So if anyone from the BBC is listening,
get in touch with us.
Yeah.
Where can they get in touch with us, Jake?
They can get in touch with us on Twitter at Swords Crossing. They can get in touch with us on TikTok, on Instagram, CrossingSwords_podcast. They can why is that exciting you?
Always.
Understandable. They can get in touch with us on Facebook by just searching Crossing Swords. If the BBC really want to get in touch with us, they can email us, CrossingSwords19@gmail.com. And I would even say that, do you know what would really help with the BBC in terms of making us feel like we're valued and that they want to be on board? They can go on YouTube. They can search Crossing Swords podcast, go to any episode, or wherever they're listening to this episode, they can go into the description, follow the link to the episode.
Fuck off.
100%. No capping.
No cap.
No cap, bro. And they can...
Run me the link, bro.
They can go to a video, watch us serving cunt. They can like it. They can comment. Every single person listening should like and comment and go on social media and share it. Just liking and commenting makes a huge thing for us on the algorithm. Same on TikTok. That engagement. Every time you engage, more people see it, and more people see it, more people engage. That's the way it works for us.
Daddy serving cunt for dinner.
Yeah, boy.
Bosh.